Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. This weekend was the first weekend where Duelist Nexus was legal. Um, and I went to a very particular event that was held here in Puerto Rico. It's called the Tropical Island Challenge. You've probably already seen the last video I posted. I had a player interview with the three-peat finalist from that event. Um, Sadly, I couldn't take it this time. I couldn't do a better record than I did on like the one that was held in May. However, I still wanted to make a deck profile because the goal of me playing at these events is not just to do well. It's just to see how can I incorporate and like perfect my strategy and stuff I can do moving forward. But without further ado, let's begin. Um, the deck I'm piloting was Rescue Ace. I had two choices for this event. It was either this or still play the Scareclaw Kashtira Adventure deck. But I chose this for two reasons. One, I already prefaced that I was going to make it a goal to not only perfect this deck but try to like make it as efficient as possible for the upcoming format. And secondly, I just felt like this was a way better meta call because it can contest against a certain amount of things that are really popular in the format where the Scareclaw deck cannot. Um, but yeah, that was like my thought reasoning on this, and I do not regret my choice. Still think this was a correct idea. However, there are some things that did happen. There are some duels that I faced against, and there are some contingencies and some issues that I still need to do when it comes to like perfecting my list. But yeah, without further ado, let's go. For monsters, we have three hydrants, three airlifter, three impulse, two fire engines, two preventer, one monitor, one fire attacker, one turbulence. That's it for the rescue monsters. Um, for other cards that I'm playing the one Kurikara. If people saw like my Scareclaw deck in the past, they already know how much I really like this card and how many games this card like just wins on its own without people expecting it. Um, I chose to play three Fenrir, two Unicorn, and the Rice Heart. Um, that's it for monsters. I'll get to the explanations at the end, like I do with all my deck profiles. For spell cards, Headquarters, Alert, Rescue, um, Race Soth, Birth. Um, I'm playing three Noble Arm Museum with the three Durendal. Three Emergency. This goes with the other rescue spells. Three Talents, three Thrusts, Rhoda, Terraforming, Small World, Dark World Noir. And then we have the rescue traps. Okay, I guess time for explanations. I guess the first thing I can explain is like the ratios behind everything. Um, so when it came to the design aspect of the deck, my goal was um to make the deck have a higher ceiling that it already had, but at the same time try to avoid breaking. um, and also apply pressure to my opponent. That's the reason you see the Kashtira cards as well as the Noble Arms. Um, so as far as the rescue ratios go, um, like this, this, and this are standard. These are like the three best cards in the deck. Um, so a lot of people play only one, or some people don't even play this. I really like Fire Engine. Since I'm playing the Kashtira engine, this kind of has more synergy because it is level 7. Um, and the other really cool thing about Fire Engine is that if you open it alongside Impulse, you pretty much have a disrupt against your opponent. Because what you will do is that with the impulse, you would summon like the preventer, and then you summon the fire engine because a rescue was summoned, and because preventer is no longer alone on the board, the preventer can become an interruption since from turn 0, and you get that just from your opponent activating an effect. It's really strong. Like it does stop a few decks on their tracks. It stops decks like Purely if they don't have the Purely Street. It stops like Kashtira if they're trying to like go alongside their plays. Um, like I really like the concept behind this. And the other thing is, if your opponent summons another monster, the fire engine can summon the airlifter, and the airlifter will grab you a spell for follow up. So you're pretty much like not only disrupt your opponent, but you have follow up for your first turn if you do that particular play. I kind of want to play 3 fire engine. The card I replaced it with at last minute was the monitor. Um, so I really am not a fan of this card. This card didn't do well for me. I actually thought so the idea behind it was that it is another fire warrior, as because you can grab it with the noble arms. Um, and in the off chance you get to the heavy grind game, you can use this to just start bringing back your rescue ace monsters, because impulse can summon from the deck, but it can only summon a machine rescue ace, while the monitor can bring back any rescue ace monster. That was like the concept behind it. However, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I felt like the card was very win more. I felt like any time that I had this card and it was resolving, I was either already ahead in the game or already losing. So in the future, I might replace this for the third fire engine. It is a risk because it is a high level monster. So if you don't open any low level rescue ace, it could become a brick. However, I feel like just opening uh, like fire engine alongside the airlifter or the impulse is enough to warrant being played as another extender. Um, so that was like the reasoning behind that. Um, I did like the one fire attacker, and I did like the one turbulence. A lot of people just play two. Some people say that one is incorrect. I think that if you're really smart with the deck, you don't need more than one. There's a lot of ways to get to this card. And if the off chance it gets banished, you can bring it back with Preventer. In the off chance they say in the graveyard, you can rescue, bring it back. Um, like uh, it's up to player preference. I'd say if you're still new to Rescue Ace and you still like don't have enough practice with the deck, then two is correct. But at least for me, I've been liking one, and I don't regret playing more. More than one could come up in the off chance they interrupt one of them, and you have a way to search a second one. Um, but I just feel like those are very niche scenarios. Scenarios like those are scenarios where you can just grab Preventer and just banish the Turbulence and then bring it back. Um, Even though it sounds like a bit more higher effort. But outside of the monitor, I liked the rescue ratios. I think I wouldn't change them. I did play Kurikara. Um, like token card. As you already saw, I'm playing Small World in my deck, so you can grab this off of Small World or use it as a bridge to get to any rescue ace except Impulse, because Impulse shares 1500 attack. Um, so Fenrir and Unicorn alongside the Rise Heart. The number one reason I'm playing the Kashtira engine is because of the Noble Arm package. Um, so past deck profiles, I mean deck construction theories, I spoke about how I am a fan of the Noble Arms engine and like how this is really cool and crucial because it can get you to Airlifter as well as Impulse, and I strongly believe that that those two are like the best two cards in the deck. Um, and just having more copies of cards that can get to those are really good. But I need monsters on the board that do not commit to my normal summon in order to make these cards effective. So that's where the Kashtira cards come in. The Kashtira monsters are just really good extenders you summon turn one. They are good standalone bodies. Their opponent is forced to like think over the summon of these cards if you do summon them. I don't regret this choice. The one thing I feel that could be different is like maybe lowering Unicorn to one. Um, but I am playing Rise Heart. The number one reason for playing Rise Heart is because it is a Fire Warrior, so you can grab it off the Randall, and it's another extender you can summon alongside your other Kashtira monsters, and it can make itself level 7. Um, so that was pretty much the reason behind that. But realistically, you can play without these two. Um, I just felt like just the added synergy of it being a Fire Warrior just warranted it being on the deck. It also gives you it also gives you ability to make a Rise Heart without relying on Shangri Era, um, which is pretty good against certain matches. Um, I already explained the no arms. I really like this package. I do not regret playing this at all. Going second this card, this engine is good because if you resolve Museum into Durandal, you can grab Impulse, and Impulse is already a card that tries to contest with your opponent. Um, if you go first, then what you do is if you have to commit your normal summon, you grab Impulse. If you have a Kashtira monster or an extender, you just grab Airlifter, and your Airlifter can get you to your emergency, which then kickstarts like your Rescue Ace combos. Um, so I am a really big fan of this. If you're a Rescue Ace player and you are looking for other ideas or engines to play in the deck, I don't think the Kashtira cards are really super necessary, but I do highly vouch for the Infernoble Arm package. It does make the deck weaker to draw, but I just feel like it's more consistency and it kind of like helps alleviate like a few weaknesses that the deck has as far as like deck construction goes. The only hand traps I was playing were the Rescue Ace cards. That's why I was playing like the Talent and the Thrust. Um, Talents was great. Thrust was not as great. I think in the future I will just side these and just put in other cards instead of just maining them. Um, One card I did feel like I kind of wanted in the main deck was Drawn Lockbird. Like, um, I did lose against Vanadium, and one of the games was because I bricked, and the other one was because he full comboed, and the only hand trapped I had was Ash Blossom, uh, which I see in my side deck, and it just didn't do well. So in the future, I will probably move Thrust and just put something else. I'll probably put them in the side. But I'm keeping Talents. I think Talents is great. I no regrets on Talents at all. Rhoda, Terraforming. It's just consistency. Like it does make the deck quicker to draw, but this deck already can brick because you're playing a lot of like engine requirements, like like these, and like you just need to make sure your deck works if you draw into these cards. Um, so um, the other consistency card is Small World. In the future, I think I would move Small World up to more copies. I think Small World is phenomenal. It's just another consistency card. Um, you just need any monster to make it work. Like pretty much the entire deck can get you to whatever you need. Um, and because I was playing Thrust, I was main decking Dark Ruler no more. Uh, I might still keep Dark Ruler. I don't know yet. But definitely I would move Thrust to the side deck. Um, I guess these are the Kashtira cards. Um, I didn't play Theosis because with the Noble Arms cards, you have enough ways to get to your Rice Heart. So, like, I don't feel it was necessary just to bridge one Kashtira monster to another uh, without having to commit into locking yourself into XYZ summons. Um, but yeah, um, the the rescue cards kind of obvious. Um, some people don't play reinforce. I still think reinforce is great. Like if you're forced into the grind game, the card will just help you like solidify, not solidify the grind game, but just make it a lot more bearable for you. Um, but yeah, main deck was 50 cards. In the future, I might slim it down, but at the moment, my deck philosophy with it is I don't want to see my brick cards, like my one-offs. I don't want to see them, and I'm filling up the extra the extra cards, like the 10 extra cards are just 10 more consistency boosters for the deck, which makes it more higher odds of you seeing your starter cards, but less odds into seeing your bricks. It works on theory, but in this game, not all the theory doesn't always work. Um, Now for the extra deck, I had Shangri Era, Arise Heart, Big Eye, Zeus, um, Linkuriboh, IP, Dark, Hita, Phoenix, Sunlight Wolf, Heat Soul, Unicorn, Topologic Bomber Dragon, I'll explain that one, Appaloosa, Access Code, and Underworld Goddess. So, the reasoning behind the Bomber Dragon was if you face against like Purely, for example, or like another deck that really needs like all their monsters to be intact, you can IP into this, and you have a multitude of ways into summoning monsters during your opponent's turn, like be it the rescue spell or the monitor if your opponent activates something, or the rescue spell to just bring this back to bring something back, and it's pretty strong. Um, like people don't see this coming, and against like very heavy combo decks that try to break your boards, this card is just really effective against a lot of matchups. It was good in theory. I never summoned it because I almost didn't play. I almost never got to AP on my summons, but it was good in theory. This could be anything else. Um, you already know I'm not playing Prosperity. The main reason is because of Heat Soul. One of the lines that I make end on Heat Soul Draw 2. And, like, if you resolve Turbulence and then resolve, like, Heat Soul, it's really, really hard for your opponent to win. Like, that's a lot of card advantage that you're getting. And Rescue Ace is known for like pushing through boards and like summoning and applying a lot of pressure. So that's pretty much like the gist of it. I guess I'll show you my side deck since I did bring it up. Uh, my side deck at the moment was two Ash, two Droll, two Crow, three Droll, two Ogre, two Nib, and then three Cosmics and the Duster. Um, so I cited the hand traps because I don't ever want to play into talents game one, but games two and three is very very important to just try to stop a lot of combo decks, and I try to make the my choices against every matchup as versatile as possible. Um, these four cards are warranted because people do play floodgates and people do play back row decks, and I didn't want to like get blown out against them, like on the spot. Um, I think this was not an incorrect approach. Like ironically enough, I didn't see almost any of them, like almost any duel. The two hand traps I do want to talk about are these two, Crow and Ogre. Uh, Almost nobody knows how to play around these cards. And these two cards are really, really strong. I highly encourage you that if you're still side decking and you have a spot in your side deck or in your main deck for some utility cards, these two cards are really, really strong. For starters, this addresses the purely matchup. Um, like the purely is very weak to these cards. Another matchup where these cards are effective against are Manadium. Is really strong against them. If you face Labyrinth, shoutouts to Michael. Like this is really really strong against the Unchained deck, and the Labyrinth deck. Uh, like I really think that if you do have space for these cards, you should really 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 consider them. I don't regret this choice at all. Um, I think Nibiru and Droll are really really strong ones, and surprisingly, I really was liking Ash Blossom like in testing as of late. I'm not a huge fan of hand traps that just trade one for ones. Um, but Crow, Ogre, and Ash are three that I can vouch for. I think the biggest value for Ash in this particular deck is that it's a fire monster. So if I do end up summoning like Sunlight Wolf, I can grab it back with the Sunlight Wolf. Um, but yeah, um, that was like my reasoning with the deck. Um, I still think uh, I think Rescue Race is still as a very, very strong contender. One of the people that made top four in the Tropical Island Challenge did play Rescue Race. I've been seeing it doing well at locals and at other events during the weekend. This deck is really, really strong in the OCG right now. And now, because of Age of Overlord being legal over there, this deck is even stronger. So, um, I still think that as far as deck choices come for the next format, I think this is a very good one to like think about. If you're not going to play this deck, at least you have to like prepare for it because I think the cards that we received in Dune are just really really strong for this deck. Um, I think this deck has a chance of even winning events like right after like we get a ban list, most likely if they address like a few other issues we have in the format. Uh, but yeah, like that's about it. Uh, Hope you found this informative. Welcome to Duelist Nexus. Keep practicing and keep dueling.